Bonjour! Mon nom est Dr. Mitch Rosella. Je suis votre professeur. Notre leçon porte sur la langue française. Commençons maintenant la leçon, okay? The French language. The French language, or in French, français, probably the most internationally significant Romance language in the world. In the beginning of the 21st century, French was an official language of more than 25 countries. In France and Corsica, about 60 million individuals use it as their first language. In Canada, more than 7.3 million. In Belgium, more than 3.9 million. In Switzerland, more than 1.8 million. In Monaco, some 80,000. In Italy, some 100,000. And in the United States, especially Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, some 1.3 million. Furthermore, more than 49 million Africans use French as the first or second language. And millions of inhabitants of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia use it as their principal international language. Here in this map, where I retrieved last November 6, 2020 from www.britannica.com, you can see the pink ones or the pink areas. This is where the French language is used as their official language. So what is this Romance language? Or languages rather? So Romance languages are a group of related languages all derived from Vulgar Latin within historical times and forming a subgroup of the Italic branch of the Indo-European language family. The major languages of the family are French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian. Catalan also has taken on a political and cultural significance. Of all the so-called families of languages, the Romance group is perhaps the simplest to identify and the easiest to account for historically. Not only do Romance languages share a good proportion of basic vocabulary, still recognizably the same in spite of some phonological changes and a number of similar grammatical forms, but they can be traced back with but few breaks in continuity to the language of the Roman Empire. So close is the similarity of each of the Romance languages to Latin as currently known from a rich literature and continuous religiously and scholarly tradition that no one doubts the relationship. Here in this slide, you can see the distribution of Romance languages in Europe. I got this from www.britannica.com last November 6, 2020. As for the history, the first document apparently written in French probably dates from 842. Known as the Strasbourg Oaths, it is a Romance version of the oaths sworn by two of Charlemagne's grandsons. The second existing text in Old French, with Picard and Walloon features, is a rendering of a short sequence by Prudentius on the life of Saint Eulalia, precisely dated 880-882. Two 10th century texts, the Passion du Christ and the Vie de Saint Leger, seem to mingle northern and southern dialect features, while another, the Jonas fragment, is obviously from the far north. In the 12th century, the gem of the epic poems known as Chanson de Geste, La Chanson de Roland, was written, and it's one of the most beautiful poems of its type in world literature. In the 12th to 13th century, the Frisian dialect became dominant, and it gained the status of literary language because of both the central position of the Ile-de-France region and the political and cultural prestige of Paris. The legal reform known as the Edict of Villers-Cotterêts, 1539, however, established Frisian as the only official language, as opposed to both Latin and other dialects, after it proved to be the most popular written form. From then on, Standard French began to replace local dialects, which were officially discouraged, though the standard language did not spread to popular usage in all regions until well into the 19th century. Dialectal features which were still admired and cherished by 16th century writers were ridiculed in the 17th and 18th centuries, when the grammar and vocabulary of the modern language were standardized and polished to an unprecedented degree. Characteristics. So the French grammar, like that of the other Romance languages, has been greatly simplified from that of Latin. So I highlighted here the, the characteristics of the language as for the noun, the masculine and feminine gender, and as for the verb. So the nouns in French are not declined for case. Formerly, they were marked for plural by the addition of s or es, but the ending, though retained in spelling, has generally been lost in speech. And then we have another characteristic of the French language. It is the use of gender. So the French language has the masculine and the feminine gender. So the masculine and feminine gender are distinguished, but are usually marked not in the noun, but rather in the accompanying article or adjective. Plural marking in spoken French is often similarly distinguished. Let's say, for example, table. So for the English, we just say table. But if you use that in French, you can say la table. So there is the gender there. So la table. So la is feminine. So the verb in French is conjugated for three persons, singular and plural. But again, although distinguished in spelling, several of these forms are pronounced identically. So here in this slide, you can see a road sign in English and French, warning drivers about wildlife crossing a highway. So that highway this is located in Jasper National Park, Alberta, Canada. So we all know that French is spoken in Canada. So here we can see the English version and the French version of the road sign. So I got this from www.britannica.com, and the topic is on the Romance languages. So class, nous en avons fini avec la leçon. Vous avez des questions? Si vous n'avez pas de questions, je verrai à la prochaine session. Au revoir.